I once held the world record for alphabetizing some alphabet soup, all 26 letters, in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
So what, you scoop them out and put it
all into order.
in how long?
2 minutes and 30 seconds. I think the world record now is 2 minutes and 8 seconds if you Google
How long
it.
have you held that record for?
I held it for three years.
3 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They're actually
good fact.
You did say I'd never guess them. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast Chatzzz. And today we've got a very, very special guest, Chris Smalley. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So I think was there a message about last week, was it?
Yeah, just last week. You said you fancy coming on, and I've seen a couple. I watched the Steve Jobson one.
You going to slate him or?
I thought about slating him. I thought his facts at the beginning were particularly boring. So when I was writing mine down, I thought, well, if I do it in the style of Jobson, I could just say, I'm a human being from the planet Earth, and I've got a business. Thought that would kind of work.
So let's wait and see.
It's maybe a little harsh. I do know Jobson.
Yeah, let's wait and see if he listens to the podcast. So as you've watched from before, you know how we kind of start things. So tell us 3 facts about yourself. I know you said you think your ones are boring, don't you? That you've said. But I bet
think
other people
Jobson's are boring.
Yeah.
So I thought when I read your message, you said write down 3 facts. I actually heard write down three fun facts.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you put that in your message, but these are my facts anyway. So fact number 1, and I've got a visual aid. I can do a Rubik's Cube in sub 2 minutes, which doesn't mean you're particularly intelligent. It's just following patterns. So once you've learned it, it's pretty straightforward. But that is a fact. That is a fact.
Yeah. Did you want to do one live on here or?
I can do it live. Yeah, you mix it up. I can do it.
All right. Yeah. Let's I'll mix it up and you say the other 2 facts.
I bet it takes me 5 minutes on here. Fact number 2, which isn't particularly interesting. I've got one ear considerably smaller than the other one, which has led to some interesting nicknames from Big Ear Smalls. Obviously, a bit of wordplay on Biggie Smalls. 1P, 2P, which is like one ear
Small big, yeah.
And fun fact number 3, and this one's hard to believe. I once held the world record for alphabetizing some alphabet soup, all 26 letters, in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
So what, you scoop them out and put it
all into order.
In how long?
2 minutes and 30 seconds. I think the world record now is 2 minutes and 8 seconds if you Google
How long
it.
have you held that record for?
I held it for three years.
3 years?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They're actually
good fact.
You did say I'd never guess them. Right, I've mixed up this Rubik's Cube. I don't know how well I've mixed it up. So
do you know what? I think it doesn't really matter. Like I said, because you're only really following a pattern anyway.
yeah.
It doesn't really matter how much you mix it up at all.
Okay. So how did you learn to do the Rubik's Cube then?
Rubik's Cube. The same way everybody does. Like I was at work when I had my site at Longtown, and I hadn't sold any cars, and I thought I better learn how to do this because it's a really important life skill.
Yeah.
So I just sat on YouTube and looked at what the algorithms were, and you just have to remember them. It's as simple as that, really. So sometimes you don't even look where you're putting the bricks. You just know what pattern to do to move the brick, if that makes sense. Like if you said, how do you move that brick up there?
Yeah.
I can't really watch where it's going. I just know what the pattern is.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's all, everyone goes mad for algorithms now, don't they?
Yeah.
I bet you go mad for algorithms.
All the time,
Yeah. If I write there, see, that's the top row done.
Yeah.
And it was all just patterns, really. I can show you one if you want. See this bottom one here?
Yeah.
I know on the bottom they should all be yellow.
Okay.
But this one's got blue and orange. So, I slated Jobson for being boring. Now I'm doing a Rubik's Cube. People have seen me do this before.
It's the first time. It's the first time this has happened on my podcast, isn't it?
And somebody will be going, I'm pretty sure you did it for like 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
You're explaining it. It's fine. How long did it take you then?
Took us 3 days.
3 days?
Took us 3 days to learn.
Is that 3 full days without selling cars?
Yeah, it was a quiet week. So that's 2 rows done.
Okay.
Again, so just follow on patterns. Do you know what? I've forgotten that last one.
Oh.
I could definitely do it.
It's fine. You're under pressure. You're under pressure. So what was the second fact?
Second fact is I have one ear bigger than the other.
Yeah.
So this is the big one.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the lucky one.
Why is that the lucky one?
Just because it's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And then, I see, when I walked in, I didn't notice that. I wouldn't notice it unless I actually look at it.
I have to point it out to people so that I make sure I do when I meet them. I let them know straight away.
So they're not just looking
I don't want it to be a secret. I let them know straight off.
Just wearing a hat or something.
Just to let you know before we go any further.
And the third one was
a world record for basically sorting out a tin of alphabet spaghetti or alphabet soup in order. So you have to alphabetize it.
So how did that come about then? Did you have to contact them to come and do it, or did you send off a recording?
I didn't think you were going to ask me loads of questions about it. I've made that one up.
Oh, for God's sake!
I thought if we just breeze past the 3
right, well,
facts, and I've made the third one up, and you just coast past that.
We'll breeze past that one. I was so interested.
Nice.
All right.
I haven't ever done that.
Phil
Googled before.
Phil just cut that bit out.
I Googled before what were the most obscure world records, and that was one. So just thought I'd pretend it was mine.
That's fine. I'll get Phil to edit it out. That's cool.
Appreciate that.
So what we normally do is, that's quite a lively start to the podcast, I'm not going to lie.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've seen Jobson's. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I'm going to keep going back to Steve Jobson. I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
So what we normally kind of do is go back to like a little Chris. What are you like growing up? First memories, anything that really, I don't know, shaped you to who you are today. So what?
That's deep, isn't it?
Yeah. What were you like growing up then?
What was I like growing up? Well, I grew up over the border in a little village called Rig. So there wasn't very many people in Rig. And me and my friends used to go fishing and shooting, and we were really outdoorsy people, you know. So I don't think kids do it anymore, but we used to just go out like in the morning and disappear, go down the river, go and play in the Solway Firth, which is pretty dangerous, and then just come home when the streetlights come on, that kind of childhood, which was good. I don't know how that shaped me to be who I am today, but I don't really do any of that anymore. I still go fishing.
Yeah.
But I only really do it for the social side nowadays.
Yeah. What did you enjoy doing then when you were little? Did you have any like hobbies or just like playing out?
Yeah, fishing and shooting and playing football, throwing a rugby ball around, that kind of stuff, and just getting into, kind of mischief. But yeah, we were pretty like country bumpkin kids, really.
Outdoorsy.
Yeah, we're just down the river, just messing about all the time.
Because I was saying that earlier, like people don't really, well, kids, I don't feel like they don't go and like make dens and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we would do that. We would build tree houses and make dens and make weapons out of sticks and stuff. I just think like what a normal childhood would be, but like my children aren't like that. My children, like I don't know if they would like to, but they like, my little girl likes going to nice cafes and she likes going shopping.
How old is she?
She's 11. I took her fishing once. Really? I said, what do you think of this? She's like, rubbish. And she goes, I'd rather be with mum in a nice cafe somewhere. I went, all right, cool. My little boy likes it. He's 5. He likes fishing. We took him on his birthday and he was like, oh, Dad, I can't wait to go fishing. Can I bop one on the head? Yeah. And I was like, well, you can. But I said, it's not really called bopping on the head. It's like, we'll catch a fish and we dispatch it humanely and take it home and eat it. yeah, but can I bop it until his eyes pop out? And I'm like, well, you can, but
if that's what you're
it's a weird angle that you go, what about just catching them?
Yeah. So then growing up, like throughout school, did you have any? What did you want to do when you finished? Was it 16 and you wanted to?
I didn't know, and I don't.
Leave,
do you know? I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I don't know what I want to do now. If I said, "Oh, I want to be a car," like I'm a car dealer. That's what I've been for 20 years, and I really enjoy it. But I don't really ever feel like I'm at work because I just kind of just do what I want all the time, and I never wanted to be this, and I nenever knew what I wanted to do. Do you know what? I think I probably wanted to be a pilot.
Really?
Like, but I was never going to be.
Yeah.
Because I don't think me school grades would have been good enough, and I don't think me eyesight would be good enough. I think everything would be against me for being a pilot. I think I have more chance of being a 6'2", 17-stone horse jockey. So
yeah, they're a big horse jockey.
So no, I didn't know what I wanted to do really, but I ended up falling into the motor trade as a car valeter and thinking it's hard work this. And then people sitting inside get to wear suits and have flash cars. I'd rather try and do that. And then I liked doing that, so I wanted to progress through like management. And then once I'd done a little bit of management, I was like, I kind of get a feel for all aspects of this business. I'll just do it on my own.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up here. But I don't know what I'm going to do next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully this. But
yeah, you never know, do you?
I might do something else. Who knows?
Yeah. Had you always liked cars then growing up?
Yeah, I have always liked cars. The motor trade's a funny job. You're normally in it because you like cars, and I'll be honest with you, throughout your career, you'll go through like, I really, really like cars. I'm sick of the back teeth of cars, and then up and down, and I'm back at the moment, really, really loving cars again. And it's not like, it's not the stereotypical, like supercars or I love classic minis. Yeah. I really like classic minis.
Okay. Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, just like the look
because they smell of petrol and yeah, you have to push them to start them and they don't work in the rain.
Yeah.
So a bit like me. So that's why I like them. I just think I think they've just got like an iconic classic shape. They're just so much money now, aren't they? Like I remember my first ever car was a classic mini. It was £600. It didn't work in the rain. I worked at Tesco's and I was at school. And if it was raining, it would definitely break down on the motorway.
Really?
And
that's not ideal.
No. It would definitely not work in the rain. But yeah, that same car today would be £6,000-7,000. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's crazy money, isn't it?
Yeah. We went through the roof classic minis. So.
Why do you think that is? Just because they're more classic style now? Or?
No, it'll be because
the class is vintage.
There just isn't many left. A lot of them are just rotted away, and they'll be worthless and scrapped. And it's all like everything's supply and demand, isn't it? Yeah. If there's only a few available on the market, you can ask what you want. Yeah. If the market's flooded with them, if there's like thousands and thousands available all the time, then the market's really competitive. But classic minis, there's never really very many good ones come up. I mean, if you look at any of my social medias and scroll through like maybe Instagram, you'll find classic minis. I'll still stock classic minis today. Yeah. I think I had one last year. Definitely had one the year before. I bet I won't get more than maybe one or two a year though.
Yeah, they're quite rare
They're really rare. And it's the rarity that puts the price up.
All right. So then, when you first went into balloting, you started off, did you? What appealed to you for that job?
Nothing. I just needed the job.
It was just like the first thing that came up.
Yeah, it was.
Did someone offer you, or did you apply?
No, I went in, and I spoke to Gary Bingley at Lloyd BMW. And what had I been doing? I'd been a tree surgeon. I'd been chopping trees down.
So random.
Oh, I know. Tell us about it. Like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was chopping trees down south with a pal of mine for a company called Fountain Forestry, and it was just really hard work. And I think I got an injury, and my doctor said you shouldn't be doing it. Like at a young age, you maybe just get into a different career straight off. Because I got a lot of back pain from being I say a tree surgeon. I was more like a lumberjack. I was just dropped off in a forest and told to chop trees down. And
With like a chainsaw.
Yeah, chainsaw.
I was thinking more like an axe.
Yeah, an axe. Oh, yeah.
There's one.
So I came back to Carlisle because that was down in Guildford. I came back to Carlisle and I needed a job. So I came to Kingstown and there's loads of car dealers at Kingstown.
Yeah.
And I think I pretty much walked into Lloyd BMW and said, I need a job. And Gary very kindly said, you can wash the forecourt and you can start tomorrow, basic wage. And I went, that'll be great. So there's different levels of valeting. You can be one of the posh valeters that get to go inside, but I was not that level. I was outside. I had a hose and a bucket and I had to wash all the cars outside. I think I did it for 6 months, to be honest.
How old were you then?
Had I been young, like maybe 19, maybe
19.
Yeah.
So pretty
18 or 19,
pretty fresh then,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
So you did that for 6 months.
Yeah, and then pretty much most days I would go and knock on Gary's door and say I want to sell cars.
Yeah.
And I think eventually I like wore him down, like ground him down.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, put a shirt on and come in for this weekend. We've got like a special event on, and try and help out, see what you can do." So I remember I went and bought like the worst shirt and tie combination you've ever seen. I had a yellow. I spent money. I went to Ralph Lauren and got a yellow shirt. I was like, no, all the other sales execs will be impressed with this. And a blue tie, and the blue tie matched the blue.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I've nailed this. But I didn't nail it. I looked like Mr. Tumble. It was all those kind of colours.
I was going to say, what made you do the yellow and blue combo?
I don't know. I just, I don't know if I started with the shirt and then thought, oh, well, I'll just match the tie with the badge.
Yeah.
But it was awful, really bad. But I did all right. I think I spoke to customers and I did a bit of tidying up, and I went back to me day job on the Monday washing cars, and I sort of sold cars Saturday and Sunday and washed cars Monday to Friday.
Oh, that's all right, isn't it? I suppose persistence is key, isn't it?
Like it was 100% persistence.
Yeah. Why did you want to do the car sales then? Was it just the money?
It just looks miles better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when you're outside and you've got your bucket and you see somebody turn up with like a McDonald's in their suit. Yeah. I was like, wow, that looks way better. That looks miles better to me.
But you must have had like some good work ethic then to do the forecourt, and then
I would say just a little bit of hard work and determination. Do you know, it's something I try and teach my kids. I would say that I was very academically poor, but I don't think I'm unintelligent. I just think I'm really poor. I can't really concentrate.
Yeah.
So I try to tell my kids, if they do well at school, great. If they don't do well at school, I'm not overly bothered. I think the most important thing they're going to need to have to get on in life is grit and determination. Yeah. Probably grit. You know, when things get tough or it's not going your way, I think lots of people give up, don't they?
Oh, especially these days, don't they? They move on to the next thing. The grass is always greener.
Exactly. I think you need grit and determination. And I think I may be wrong, but I think it's more important than at what level of education you have. Because if you put it to the extreme and you have somebody that's so well educated, but they can't stick and grit it out and tough it out when times get hard, they're not gonna. I don't think they'll succeed.
Well, no.
So I tried to tell my kids that as well. Like, I was rubbish at school and I've done okay for myself.
Yeah. It's like when I went to university and I don't really use my degree and stuff, but it's when, say, people would go to university and they can't like apply that theory to real life scenarios. And you're thinking you may be really academically intelligent, but in a real life scenario, you just don't have a clue.
I think I'll be the opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, my school grades were so poor. I mean, I did well in my motor trade career to get so far with such dreadful education. Like, I ended up as general sales manager for Mercedes-Benz, which was a good job. But I don't think they ever really questioned what my education was.
No.
But I think I had about 2 GCSEs and nothing else. Played a bit of snooker at the Portland. But I remember one of my GCSEs, I should have put this in as one of my fun facts. My German oral exam, I got an ungraded. Okay. So it didn't even get graded because you had to write a piece on what you did at the week, like what you did as your hobbies. German's hard, like really hard.
Yeah, I've never did German.
I was, like I said, I was a country bumpkin and I did a bit of shooting. Well, shooting is schießen, I think.
Yeah.
But I was saying Scheißen.
Yeah.
And I did it all the way through.
What does that mean? Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I said I used to go shooting at the weekend. I'd shoot with my best friend Andy. We'd shoot clay pigeons. We'd have shooting competitions. And I'd said shit all the way through.
So
I remember the German teacher, it was recorded, and she was going, like, I didn't know what I was saying. I was saying Scheißen.
Yeah.
I was meant to say Schießen. Something like that. But obviously ungraded, which was funny because then my career was in all German BMW.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
So really paid off that German education.
Yeah. German's a random one to do. We did French and Spanish at school.
I think our options were Spanish and French and German, but my grandma was German, so I thought I should probably
get a
learn
few
that.
tips from her.
It didn't really work.
So then when you started doing the car sales at the weekend then, how did things kind of progress for you there?
Well, they progressed because I think I was good at it. And
When you say good, why? Why'd you say you're good?
So, you know, I said I was really poor at school and not well educated.
Yeah.
I think I've got a good level of emotional intelligence. And when I was talking to customers, I know how I could understand how they feel about things that I'm saying, and I could understand what was important. I could get to know somebody really quickly, and I could gel with somebody fast.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I've always been good at selling cars. It's not because I've got an unbelievable knowledge of cars. It's not about that. And it's not about an amazing closer. You know, we get down to it and that close business. It's not about that either. It's not that. It's being able to talk to somebody in a manner where they feel relaxed enough to tell you exactly what they really want from a car and the things that could potentially stop them from buying the car. If you don't have that from the beginning, you'd never be able to get to the end. Because like if you don't have that rapport with somebody for them to turn around and say, listen, I've actually got rubbish credit, Chris, then you're looking at the wrong car, you're looking at a £30,000 car, then it's never going to happen, does it? But I always had that. I always got on with my customers to a point where, look, loads of my customers are my pals now.
Yeah.
Loads of them. And I pride myself on my customer database now is filled full of nice people. I've changed me like little company statement to that we're a small local business and we sell great cars to nice people. And I mean that. Yeah. Like if people came in that I thought were just going to be, you know, like dreadful people, I won't sell them a car.
Yeah.
So no way. I mean, there's not many. I think Cumbria and Carlisle are full of nice people.
Yeah.
Yeah, reputation and having a proper relationship with a customer. Not like sell somebody a car once, they feel rubbish about it, I feel rubbish about it, and we never speak again. I don't want to do that. No. It's not for me.
No. I think understanding people is a skill in itself, isn't it? Like you say.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like people are probably the most complex thing in the world that it could be like a simple A to B thing, but because it's a person involved, they could be doing the complete opposite thing. And there's no way to explain it, but that's just them, isn't it?
I think it's something that would be very hard to teach people. So, and I think it is just emotional intelligence, and I'm sure there's courses on it and that you can learn it, but I think some people are just good at it and some people aren't.
Yeah.
I was just lucky that obviously I took any job I could, which was valeting cars. To be honest, I still valet cars now, 22 years on. I've cleaned 4 cars today. I love it. Yeah. I like getting my hands dirty and polishing cars. It's good. But then I was lucky because I fell into that side of things. And then my best skill set, which is being able to communicate on loads of different levels with people. Like, it doesn't matter if somebody comes in and they're just like me, like a normal person, or if they're like a lord of the manor. I think I can get on with everybody. Yeah. And I can treat everybody the way I'd like to be treated. So I think I was always destined to sell something.
All right, cool. So then when you started doing well with the selling cars, and did you say you got promotions and you
Well,
progressed?
yeah, a bit like from valeting to becoming a sales exec. It was persistence and just being particularly irritating about it, I would say. But I sold cars for Lloyd's, for Brian Lloyd at Carlisle, and I think I did a pretty good job. But I was so determined to be like, to go to a business manager or to go to a sales manager. And like,
why did you want to do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Sure.
It was just like I needed to progress. Like, I do something for a year, and if I think I've done it well, I want to do something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Where do you think that came from?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know.
That's the thing. Not everyone has that.
No,
do they?
I suppose. I mean, I could have just sat comfortably as a car sales exec for forever, couldn't I?
Some people are just comfortable doing that.
Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's not.
I think it's a great career, and like, you know, if you're good at it, you become indispensable to the car garage as well. So it just wasn't for me. Like I was always happy to take it's like I'm a gambler. I'm happy to take the risk all the time. Like I've been a good sales exec. I want to be a business manager, but what if you're no good? I don't care.
Yeah.
But then I was a business manager, and then I wanted to be a sales manager. What if you're no good? I didn't care.
Yeah.
I just wanted to. So I'm always happy to like push the boat and like it's like spin a coin. You're either going to be much better off or much worse off.
But you must have some self-belief in yourself and your ability, mustn't you? Because like,
I think so. Yeah,
like you say, if you've done it for a year and you think I'm good at this now, I can take the next leap. I'm going to learn. And
well, if you think from going from a sales exec to a sales manager, it's not dissimilar, is it? Like, because when you become a sales manager, you've basically got loads of people that are just like you doing the job that you are good at doing. So you then have the same skill set of being able to get on with people and understand how they tick to get the best out of them. So I think if you're a good sales manager and you've got 6 or 7 sales execs, you need to understand all of them, and they're all different. Well, some of them will be like, I want to sell loads of cars because I need the money. Some of them will be like, I want to sell loads of cars because I need the praise and I want the success. Some will want promotion. Some will just do it because they don't have any other plan. But there'll be always there'll always be like a reason why somebody's doing what they're doing. And I think if you can understand that, then you'll be as good as a manager as you were as a sales exec.
Yeah. So selling a car then, if I was to come on and try and sell a car, then how did you get trained? Did you get trained selling the thing? Or
yeah. You have you have a fairly intense training. So my sales exec training was BMW. My sales management training was Mercedes-Benz. The sales exec training that I did was the first of its kind, really. It was a 2-year training where you went away for a week to BMW, came back, applied everything, went away again to BMW, and it went on. I think we actually completed it in a year, but originally when they piloted it, it was going to be 2 years. And they teach you everything from like how to build rapport with people, how to shake hands, how to talk, how to have different questioning skills, and how to understand what people's needs are for buying cars. Then you have loads of product knowledge. And eventually you get signed off as like a certified BMW sales exec. I think they'll probably still do it, but I think they'll do it in a condensed manner now. Yeah. Which is probably as good. But yeah, you do go away and get training if that's what you want to do. Yeah. But I think you need to have the natural ability to talk to people and get to know people quickly and build rapport with people quickly. That needs to be natural. The rest you can learn the rest. Yeah.
All right, cool. So then you progressed to sales manager, then business manager, did you?
Business manager is like who does the finance. Right. So like in most dealerships, somebody will come and sell you the car. And then it'll be like, how do you want to pay for it? That's somebody else's job. That's like a business manager or a transaction manager, they sometimes get called. And they'll look at all the different ways that you can finance it and different products you can take and stuff like that. So I did that first. And you get a little bit of you get a little bit of control with your sales team, so you get to help other people a little bit, but it never felt to me like the full role as being a sales manager, where it becomes your department. And like again, the funny thing is, it's like you live and die by the sword as a sales manager. You're either going to be, if everybody's really, really good, then you're good.
Yeah.
If everybody's really, really bad, then you're bad. So it's like you do have to make sure that everybody's good in your team.
Yeah. So then, had you always wanted to have your own business then? So how did it go from, Mercedes to setting up on your own?
There was, what did I do? No, so like Mercedes-Benz was brilliant. That was sitting there. I think I worked for them for maybe 5 or 6 years. And I think I worked for Lloyd's in total, because I did a couple of stints with them. I did a sales exec role for a couple of years, and valeting, obviously. And I did sales manager for Mini for a couple of years, which I absolutely loved, the Mini role, because it was so open to your marketing style can be anything you want at Mini, can't it? Because it's just a brand that lends itself to being able to do whatever you want. So we did like bungee jumping on the forecourt, and some of the marketing that we did was a little bit off the wall. And it was, both of those companies I thought were really good. And then I worked for a couple of companies that I can remain nameless, and I thought, these are rubbish. These really poor.
Why?
Like,
Why were they poor?
They spend so long trying to teach the customer how to give a 10 out of 10 star review, instead of spending all that time on giving 10 out of 10 service. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like, right, get your sales execs to talk to your salesmen and to talk to your customers and say, it's really important that you give us 10 out of 10. I bet you people that have bought cars will be listening to this going, oh yeah, I got told that. But some companies out there, not the ones I've currently mentioned, will spend so long in educating and prepping the customer how to fill out that
review form
survey than actually giving like world-class service.
To get that anyway as a byproduct.
This is nonsense, proper nonsense. So I literally just jacked. I had no plan, chucked my keys on the desk, got the train home. So it wasn't Cumbria. Got the train home, went, can't be bothered with this. Got home on the 1st of March, 2015. So it was the 1st of March, new car day.
New plates.
Yeah, I just went, this isn't for me. Went home and I just went, right, I'm going to sell cars. I'm going to build my own little business, and I'm going to look after customers properly. And I'm never going to prompt them to give me a 5-star review. I'm never going to say, oh, please give us a 5-star review at the end of this process, or my kids won't be able to eat this weekend. I'm never doing that. Like, I'm going to give the best service I can ever give. And if they choose to leave us a 5-star review, I'll be over the moon. So that's what I did. I just built this company, and I took a fence panel out. I put a couple of cars in my garden. Carlisle City Council probably watching this thinking, well, you're not allowed to do that, but I did do that. Park cars in my garden, park them at the farm where I used to live. I didn't live at the farm, but the farm that we were friends with let me park one at their road end, which was brilliant because it was the only bit of passing traffic I had. So I had one car parked in rig with a for sale sign in when I set up, and I had 2 in my garden. I had 1 on my drive, and I just started. So I thought, right, I want to sell cars for a little bit less than the main dealer because I'm not going to have the same overheads. I don't ever want the big shiny showroom. You know, I want somewhere that's a little bit rustic with a picture of some mountains and I
thought we were sat in the mountains.
These aren't real.
Oh, you got me again.
So I just wanted something a bit rustic. So I thought I wanted to always be able to sell cars slightly less than a main dealer, but still give a service that you'd be happy with at a main dealer. So that's hence why the company was called Used Cars for Less. So I typed it into the old Google thing and it was available. So I just bought the domain name and cracked on.
Oh, nice. So then when you came back on the 1st of March then, where did you get these cars from, or what was the thought process?
Well, because I've been in the trade for a considerable amount of time. So it's now 2015.
So you've been in the trade for how long then?
About 13, 14 years.
Yeah. So
I knew loads of people. I knew loads of people. I had lots of contacts. Some of my best pals are car traders.
Yeah.
So I phoned a friend of mine, Paul. who lives out in Wetherell, and I was like, Paul, can you get us some cars? And he was like, yeah, I can get you. I've got a Mini. Do you want to try and sell this Mini? So I was like, yeah. And I sold it and delivered it, and I made about 150 quid. And I had to spend like 3 days, delivered it to Oxford and came back. And it was just like, I think if I ever sat down and worked out my fuel and my train, I'll have blown about 500 quid selling that car. But I was happy just to do something, you know, to make a start.
Yeah.
And you know what? I would also, for other car traders, I'd say, look, I'll do a bit of driving for you while I'm not busy. Because when you start your own business, you can't be afraid to work for a tiny little bit of money every now and again. You know, I'd rather, if somebody said, oh, will you come and give us a hand and drive a car for us back from Birmingham and I'll give you 50 quid. I'll put it into me books. I've made 50 quid today because I didn't do anything else. So that first month, March 2015, I sold 3 cars and blew 2.5 grand, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I sold some cars in April and blew money. And then I got to May and I thought, oh, I didn't have a huge pot of money.
Yeah.
Like you do need a considerable amount of money in this because it's fairly cash intensive, isn't it? Like buying and selling cars. But I didn't have a very big pot of money at all. So I was like, this isn't sustainable. So only by month 3, I thought, do a grit it out. And I just thought, I'll just keep going and try and, I've got to turn some profit eventually. And then I couldn't believe it. In May, this is probably the only reason why I'm still going now. So blew money in March, blew money in April. And in May, I did something like 18 cars. I couldn't sell it. I haven't sold 18 cars now. So I don't know how I did that from my garden. And one was a Porsche 911.
Really?
Like,
In your front garden?
I was like, what have I done here? Like I just rang the bell in 1 month and went, right, this works, but it doesn't work from home. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
A proper nightmare. And
I can imagine it. Yeah, in your front garden.
Torture. And like I was getting people coming to my house and like I had some people come from further south to look at an old car that I'd put on eBay. Like was a part exchange, and it was like I'd put it that this is a trade sale only, so only traders get in touch with us. And it was just a dreadful experience. Like I didn't even want them in my house, and they had like bits of cardboard down on the floor underneath the car, pulling it to bits, asking what warranty they were getting, and I was going, "What?" I was like, "It's 1,300 quid." You're meant to be a car trader. I'm a car trader. There's no warranty trade to trade. I don't think there's anything wrong with the car, but it was just awful. We take 400 quid. I'm like, what is happening here? It's Saturday night. I don't even want to be with you at all, let alone blow like loads of money. Yeah. So it was difficult from home. So
that was month 3 then. So then
month 3, I sold a lot of cars, and then month 4 and 5. I basically carried on trading from home, but I started looking for somewhere for a premises. And it was really simple. All I needed was parking and an office, somewhere to warm and friendly to sit down with a customer, have a cup of coffee and chat about what car they're buying. And I got a place out on the Longtown Brampton Road and basically just got my cars moved out to Longtown. There was a little pre-made, one of these porta cabin fabricated like little offices, and I had about parking for I'd say 12 to 15 cars.
That's a decent space then,
I had to add a little bit of security, some posts, and like a swinging arm so that my cars couldn't just be all lifted. But it was brilliant. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I was out there for, I think I maybe did 1.5 years out there.
Yeah. So after you did that, did you move
here?
Yeah. So what made you switch? Did you just outgrow the space or location? Or
I live local. I can walk here, which is great. Yeah. And I used to come in all the time here. And so a bit like how I ever became a sales exec, just coming in and knocking, going, please can I be a sales exec? No, go away, Chris. Well, can I be a sales exec? Yeah. I basically did that here. I was like, any chance I could buy this place or rent a bit? No. And eventually, and they're a really nice family that had this place. Eventually, I must have caught them on a great day. I came in, I went, listen, I've spoken to you before, but any chance I could like rent a bit of space or buy a bit? And they went, probably going to sell the whole place. I went, if Bob's your uncle, can I buy it, please? Yeah. So I begged and borrowed and remortgaged my house and got myself in loads of debt and just spun that coin again and just went, I'm just going to buy a place.
Yeah.
And buying the place was the best thing I ever did, because when I was renting, it was much more expensive to rent than it is to own. And the property that, like, I know I showed you around before we started filming, the property that we have here has now got multiple businesses on, and some that pay a little bit of rent and like leases so that they can operate from here as well. And that really reduces me overheads, and just makes the whole. So in a big dealership, you'll have you basically want your service department to make enough money to absorb all the costs of the dealership.
Yeah.
And then your sales department makes the profit. What I'm very fortunate, and I am fortunate to end up with, I've got this property, I've got enough leases where they kind of absorb the majority of my overheads. And that, so when I sell cars, they more or less become me profit. So my absorption rate, because I don't run the workshop. Obviously, I own the building, but the workshop's run by Bob and his wife Carly, and it's superb. Yeah. They were so lucky as a find. They came and set up their own little business in there, 2 ramps, MOTs, service and repairs, and they've been here for nearly the whole time that I've been here.
Really, that's so cool. Yeah,
I think they were in here about 6 months after I was in.
Yeah, it's a great model to have, isn't it?
Well, they're right next door. They help me out loads. I try and help them out with bits and bobs, but we're just like, we share the kitchen, but we're adjoined, but we're separate. So when I sell a car, I get every single car service and MOT. They all get done by Bob. If whatever, and I say to Bob, he's got carte blanche to do anything he wants. If it needs tires, put tires on it. If it needs any suspension parts, just do them. But you know, when you just trust somebody, he's never gonna rip me off, and he's never gonna just send a car back round and say it's done and it's not done. Yeah, everything's really, it just works really well.
Yeah, relationships are important in business, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So then, after you moved here, then how did it kind of take off from there? Because it's been 8 years this year. Yeah. So 8 years I've been in. I don't think it's really ever taken off. It's been very consistent. Like when I was out at Longtown and we got our finance licenses with the FCA so that we could start selling finance and taking part exchanges in that have got finance on. That became huge. That took us from selling sort of like 5 or 6 cars a month to 15 or 20 cars a month. It was that big a jump. Yeah. And it's really consistent now. Like I would say the biggest change over the 8 years is probably the value of the vehicle that we sell and the caliber of car that we sell, I think has went up. When I look back at old pictures and cars that I've posted in the past, and I would say that we don't sell any more cars. I think we're much more efficient, and we're probably a little bit more profitable because we've got some slightly rarer and more expensive cars in the mix. So then when you say about you got the FCA regulated thing, just feel like there's been a shift over the last 8 years where more people are trying to finance cars.
I think the majority of people will finance the car now. Yeah. There's still some cash customers out there that'll come in and buy a car, but I think when you're buying a depreciating asset, it would make sense to finance it, wouldn't it? Like if your house was £200,000 to buy, and somebody said in 5 years' time it's going to be worth 100,000, you probably wouldn't want to own it, would you? You'd just say, well, I'll just rent that.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of people do with their car. Because if you come in and go, if you're spending sort of up to £5,000 or £6,000, I think it works just to buy it.
Yeah, because you're not going to depreciate that much more.
No, the depreciation curve's kind of starting to even itself out a wee bit. It's steeper when the car's dearer. But like if you were coming in and buying a £40,000 car, I would say like, a couple of grand down and 499 quid a month sounds quite good, because that car will be worth 20 grand in 3 or 4 years' time. It's gonna half in value.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does make sense. I
feel like less people are wanting ownership these days, aren't they? More like to rent, like phones and stuff, isn't it? And that kind of thing.
Well, things are just so expensive, aren't they? Like buying a phone's like 1,400 quid, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you
It's
see
a lot
all
of
these
money.
great offers on contracts. You just go for a contract, don't you?
Yeah.
Very similar to a car. It's taken a slight dip lately because of obviously the Bank of England base rate's been creeping up.
Yeah.
And there's been that knock-on effect to our finances. Took us personally here from 7.9% APR to 12.9.
That's a big
over
jump
the course of
then,
like 12 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when it jumped up to 8.9, I was spitting feathers.
Yeah.
I was on the phone to finance companies trying to get a better deal, but that's the best deal I could get. And then it went to 9.9, and I was like, I don't want it to go any higher, but you've no control over these things. If the Bank of England base rate jumps up,
There's nothing you can do.
and finance lenders go, we can't get the money at what we were getting it. So you now have to sell it out at 12.9, then it's 12.9.
Yeah.
I get 11.4% APR with Santander, so that's like higher purchase and a couple of different packages, but my PCPs are 12.9.
Oh, yeah. So how have you found it then? Either is it COVID or since the Ukrainian war, about the lead time on newer cars? So like, have you found that there's been more demand on used cars then lately?
Yeah, there was huge demand, wasn't there? And like most of last year and the year before, and we know it was down to this microchip factory. I think it's well documented.
Yeah.
That there was no microchips getting produced, so they couldn't produce new cars, which where the big
It's mad, isn't it? That one little thing.
Do you know where one of the biggest knock-on effects comes from is when you think, well, how can that affect the used car market? It's because used cars aren't getting brought to the market. If they're with fleet companies that change every year, they're going, well, we can't get any stock. So the 1,200 cars that we're running, we'll just have to extend for another year. So there's 1,200 cars that aren't coming to the market.
Yeah.
And it's the same with people. People going, well, I've got it on contract hire, but the dealer is saying I can't get a car, but the contract hire company is saying I can extend. So there's another car that's not coming to the market. So that's where the big knock-on effect came. But like, people think we had it away as car dealers because prices were going up. But if you think about it, the only car dealers that will profiteer from cars going up are dealers that don't turn their stock very quick.
Yeah.
Like if you buy a load of cars in January and you don't sell any to December, they've went up. You've done a dreadful job, haven't you?
You've got rid of it.
And if it hadn't been a year where they were going up, you went bust. You're dead. Go and get a job somewhere else. So like, I never had any cars really. There was a couple that went from 1 month to another that went up 500 quid, which is great.
Just timing kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah,
for a
but
month.
I try and buy it. Like if I buy a car in January, if I haven't seen it gone in February, I start to really push that car, make little tweaks on the price, try and get it out to more people. Come March, I trade that car, whatever the cost. Like I've just done it. I'm not ashamed to admit I bought a dreadful car in November. No, a brilliant car, but I bought it in November and it was a Porsche Boxster. And a December in Carlisle, it's like something of Game of Thrones or something. It's like, the winter's coming and like, it was so dark. I mean, nowadays we're like,
you didn't see daylight though, did you?
It was like light at 10 a.m. and then dark at 2:30 and I had a Porsche Boxster for sale. So I was like, this is such a bad buy. And that car blew 3,500 quid in 2 months. So sometimes I think people own a car and they go, oh, I've owned this car for a year and I've lost a bit of money. And they think car dealers never do. If prices drop and we get it wrong, we lose money.
Yeah.
Prices were like, for 2 years, we were really fortunate. We didn't lose an awful lot on trading out of cars. But I still traded out of them because I don't want to have a car here for 3 months. I like fresh stock turn. I like new cars coming in, and I like to see the money that I've put into a car. I like that asset really sweated. So if you've got £10,000 in a car in January, I don't want that £10,000 to be in that same car come June or July.
Yeah,
because that's a waste of money.
Sat there,
yeah,
nothing.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's say that a car, after all the prep and everything is taken into consideration and your tax and everything else, and that you make 500 quid. So if you've got 10,000 quid and in a car for 6 months and you have 500 quid out of it, that's dreadful use of 10,000 quid. That 10,000 quid needs to be turned at least 4 times before the summer. Yeah. So that's why if you're quick on your stock turn, you're never going to profiteer when the market goes up too much. What you found is you didn't lose trading out of cars. So if you had a car that got old, you went, I've had this 3 months now. It's time to trade out. It's worth 1,000 quid more than I paid. Yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. But that's such a rarity. It's the only time I've ever seen it happen in the motor trade.
Yeah. So how do you buy a car then? Like over the years, you must have kind of some kind of idea of, oh yeah, that's a good car for me to buy. That's popular. Do you know what? Intuition.
Yeah, a little bit. I envisage who's going to buy the car.
So if you had, say, £10,000 right now, and you had to buy 1 or 2 cars, what would you look for? I'm at a massive advantage because I've got such a good customer database. I've got people going, Chris, go and get me a Ford Focus. Chris, go and get me a Nissan Qashqai. So I know I'd go and buy a Nissan Qashqai and a Ford Focus because I'd sell them straight away. Yeah. But there's a couple of little tools that you can use to decide what you're going to stock. I don't always use them. I'm not the most finely tuned expert in the motor trade. No way. I do loads of little gambling. I go, I want to buy an M4 because I really want an M4. Yeah, just impulsive.
That's like the child coming out of me.
When you bought the McLaren, is it still there?
No, the McLaren's gone.
I was hoping it was going to be still here before they picked up.
I've got a really good customer that said he was going to buy that pretty much as I was buying it. So that car was superb for PR. Yeah. But I was very careful never to be in a position where
that's just sat there.
I'd paid for that and it was just sitting here.
Yeah.
There's loads of cars that I have done that. Like I've had a few. I've had some cars that I've always wanted as a child. Like I've had Aston Martins and Bentleys, and I've just went, do you know what? I'm going to just go for it and buy one. And hopefully, because I like it, that means somebody else is going to like it.
Never the case.
It doesn't always work.
No.
It doesn't always work. And like I work with me missus, and I work with Leonie. Leonie's worked with us for 8 years. And I've had some other great staff as well, and they tell us, they go, oh my God, Chris, why have you bought that? And I'm like, because I love it. Well, nobody else is gonna. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, right, that is a problem. Because if I got my sensible hat on, I could look through. I've sold 1,500 cars since March 2015 to now, which I think is a load of cars. I could look through I could basically put in my spreadsheet and look at what cars I've sold, what I've sold the most of, and I can look at what's been retail and what I've had to trade out of, and what cars have been the most profitable. And some of the best selling cars would be Ford Cougars, Nissan Qashqais, Ford Focus. It's your really good family car that's slightly too old for a main dealer. They're my best cars. Doesn't mean I always stock them. I'm an idiot. I go and buy classic minis. And I want to buy an Aston Martin. So smart.
So it's really just kind of like using, like say, your database.
You can do that. Yeah, you can do that. You can look at Auto Trader as well. Auto Trader is a great tool that, like, if you pay to be on Auto Trader, they'll give you an awful lot of insight. I've done it in the past, and I've used that. I use that information. I don't pay for it anymore, but I don't think the parameters have changed. If you look in Carlisle and Cumbria, the most heavily searched for car was around £10,000. So if you were absolutely just guessing, try and buy stuff that retails at £10,000. I've found that cars from, I'd say about 12,000 down to about 8,000 have been selling really well. They're like your proper second-hand car at the minute because car prices have gone up.
Yeah,
you know, when customers come to me and go, oh, my daughter's passed their test, we've got 1,000 quid for their first car. It's not enough anymore. It's not enough. You have to spend more. I'd say about 3 or 4 now is your very first car entry level.
It's decent.
Yeah, because it's got to be good enough for me to put my name to it, and for me to say. Yeah, because I warranty everything and I service everything and MOT everything, and I wouldn't let somebody pick up a rubbish car. If I thought it was rubbish, I'd tell them.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think everything has lifted, but But yeah, up to that has been, I think would sell very well. And then I think there's a band of cars that are really hard at the minute, and it's about £40,000 cars are quite hard to sell.
Yeah.
The last few I've had have really struggled, and it's because you can't get an attractive payment. I think those cars are very payment led. You know, if you could drive an M3 competition, and it was £299 a month, everyone's having one, aren't they?
Oh yeah,
But they're not. They're not at the minute.
How much would they be? Like 600 or something?
Yeah. You'd have to put a deposit in and pay a bit of money. But I mean, I looked at that. I think that Porsche Boxer that I had was £700 or £800 a month. I think it's too much.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of cash.
It is when everyone's going, oh, I mean, he's £500 a month as well. You know,
and the rest.
Like when everything's getting totted up. But then you've got like another level of car, the £100,000 stuff. They're not bothered.
Yeah.
I don't think. Like Ricky Gervais jokes about it that somebody said, "Oh, you're out of touch, Ricky. You don't know how much the price of milk is." And he goes, "Well, if I give you £1,000, will that get us one? Or is that not enough?"
Yeah.
Those people won't be bothered about like the electricity bill being a little bit more and the shopping bill being a little bit more. You know, if they're buying a £150,000 car, probably not bothered.
No.
They'll own the electricity company. So they're doing all right.
Yeah.
But the middle of the road, like if you had a budget of £300 or £400 a month, that market there seems to be a little tough. I'll be honest. I think I'd struggle to buy a car at £500-600 a month. I don't think I would. No, I don't think I would. So could my heating like
that's what I mean.
It's freezing in here. I've got my jacket on because my electricity bill's an absolute fortune. So I don't put the heating on.
Yeah, well, it's just like the cost of living, isn't it?
The cost of living's huge.
So then one thing I wanted to ask you about was how's the best way to market selling a car? Because you've just recently got the Insta360 and I think that's such a great bit of kit, isn't it? So then how's your marketing changed and over the period that you've been marketing it and why have you incorporated that into
it? It's a good question, that actually, because originally I was, when you're unknown and you've no business at all, you go on Auto Trader, Gumtree, eBay, all that stuff. I don't go on any of that anymore because I've got a really good customer database and I've got some good social media accounts. Like we're fortunate to have 11,000 followers on Facebook, and I don't think we've got big numbers on Instagram, but we get quite a good reach. And like even I use LinkedIn, I even use TikTok. I know you love TikTok, but I go on TikTok and I think I'm too old to go on there.
Never too old.
But I'm like, somebody was like, "Oh, you've got to go on TikTok because the reach is massive." I wandered around with my selfie stick. I bought an invisible selfie stick and I wandered around with it. I put it on TikTok and it got 20,000 views. I was like, if I post that on Facebook, I get about 3,000 views. So
about 3.
So I do get the importance of being on like as much social media as possible. And I like it because you can boost stuff and pay for it if you want, but predominantly it's free, isn't it? It's free. Like I try and post something every day. Like I posted a couple of videos today. I did put some pictures of cars on, and you know, if you're not really busy in that moment, just grab your phone, do a video. And like I was saying to you before, some of my videos are terrible, they're awful. But if I watch them back, I'll never post them. I grab my phone on my selfie stick, I wander around, I do a video. Normally it's one take, and I just fire it out there, and everyone goes, "That selfie stick makes your forehead look enormous and your legs look tiny." And I'm happy with that. That's fine. Any kind of comment on my videos is fine.
Because it boosts the reach.
People have seen it. So all my pals going, "You've got an enormous head, Smalley." I'm fine with that.
I've sold my car though.
I've sold a car, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's a lot of people won't do that. They're too scared to start because they care what people think, don't they?
I think that's a lot of it with social media. Is like I think if you're not thick-skinned and you post something and everyone slags you off, then you're never going to post again, are you?
No.
I mean, you must get that all the time. Some of your videos.
Yeah, I know.
Really,
all
really
the time.
boring.
Yeah, I know. Literally. But that's the thing with me. Like,
I'm messing.
When I agree. Because like, say,
you agree?
Yeah, because if say I post some videos, and it's like, oh, TikTok this or TikTok that, I think like, who actually cares?
Oh no, I was joking. I think they're really good. Like, I watch your TikTok ones and think, because you put some good stuff on there for businesses about how to get the engagement, and like my Rubik's Cube, it is algorithms, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think like if it helps one person, then that's the main thing. Like same for you for your car. If it sells that one car, that's the main thing. Because say your videos aren't going to appeal to everyone because
No,
not
definitely
everyone wants to buy a car. My
Yeah.
videos aren't going to appeal to everyone because not everyone
Has a
wants to
business.
market the business on TikTok and stuff.
100%, yeah.
And it's just if you can make an impact on that one or two people, then it is, yeah.
But I think a lot of people will go, oh, I'm not going to do a video. I'm not going to walk around a car because I feel like an idiot. Do you know what? Do you know what I'd say to them? Just do it anyway and post it. It don't really matter.
Nah, it doesn't.
It doesn't really matter.
But
like, nobody will remember next week that you posted a
tomorrow.
video of a Renault Clio and you got in it and beeped the horn and
No.
you know what I mean? Nobody will remember that.
But they will remember when they want to buy a car and they come to you.
Hopefully. I mean, I hammer all my social medias. I maybe post too much. Like,
you can't post too much.
you don't think so?
No.
Oh, maybe subscribers are going down.
Nah, it's fine. That's always the case, isn't it? Like you'll lose some and you gain some and that kind of thing. People do unsubscribe and unfollow. But yeah, so the next part of the podcast is your biggest mistake or biggest regret in personal or business life. Did you prep for this or not?
Nah. Did you ask me that?
Yeah.
Did you? Are you sure?
Yeah, check the messages.
Aw.
So it can either be in your personal life or your business life or both. One or the other.
What regrets have I
Biggest
got?
regret or biggest mistake or something like that. It's kind of the way we end every podcast. Yeah.
Should have a real good one here, shouldn't I?
Let me. It doesn't have to be that crazy.
Do you know what I've got some terrible character traits where I like to go out and get drunk and stay out too late. Do you know what? It probably the amount of time that I've spent drinking and partying.
Here we go. Biggest mistake in personal business life can be either or up to you.
Well, Alexa's got that one for me. Nice one, Alexa.
I put you on the spot here, though, haven't I?
Well, do you know what? I try not to have. I bet everybody says this. I try not to have too many regrets. I don't feel particularly regretful about anything.
Or any memorable thing you're like, oh, I wish I did that, or I wish I didn't do that.
Do you know what? Well, the only thing that comes to mind is the amount of times that I wake up in the morning and go, oh my God. Like, I've just shut the doors and went uptown and never came back. And I think, what's happened there? Like last Saturday.
Yeah, on a mad one.
I had all my appointments in the morning and went, I could just do with watching the end of the Liverpool game in town. And I never came home till about 3 o'clock in the morning. So I suppose if I combined all of those together, all of those, like, I should have been at work, but I wasn't. I was drunk in town. I'm going to put them down as my biggest regret. Right. Also, I really liked them.
That makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, we'll wrap up the podcast here. We've been going over an hour now.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Do you want to plug all your pages and stuff?
Yeah.
Anyone that's watching and listening?
Yeah. If anybody's watched and they're ever thinking of selling a car or buying a car, I'd very, very much like you to get in touch. Really easy. Follow us on Used Cars for Less for Facebook. So just type in used cars, the number 4 less. You put that in anything, I should come up, like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, anything you like. But just drop us a message, like, especially if you're selling a car. I like buying cars off private people because you can bring the car to me. I can have a look at it. I'll try and pay a little bit more money than, particular unnamed buying sites. But and I think I'm easy to deal with. So I would love that. So check us out on social media and drop me a message and I'll try and buy your car.
All right, well, thank you very much, Chris. Thanks. I really enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment your favourite part. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a 5-star review, and we'll see you next time. Bye, 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 bye.